Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As guys, I have a very special announcement to make. Right now, we are in the best window we're ever gonna have in order to make generational wealth. Not just have I been warning you for over a month now, but now we're beginning to get additional data that's confirming this hypothesis. We are in Black Swan watch. We are in the window where a big crash could come in the stock market. And even BC backer today to say that even he's looking to see if a market collapses inbound. I believe we are in a Black Swan window over the next 2 weeks. And all I want you to understand is how great of an opportunity this is going to be to buy. Ladies and gentlemen, I do think 2024 is going to give us the profits we've all been waiting for. But right now is where millionaires are made. Right now is where you plant the seeds that grow. Right now, when everyone's bored, when everyone's distracted, and when no one's talking about crypto, this is where you make the money. Personally speaking, I'm about to show a masterclass in dollar cost averaging, and in my OnlyFans down in the description below, I have begun using my cash position for the first time heavily in over a year. And the reason I'm saying that is, I personally believe we are witnessing some of the best entry points I've ever seen to so many alts. You guys know I'm a predatory altcoin investor. I love it when people are bored and afraid. I love it when prices are 99% corrected. And right now I'm showing you two opportunities that I think will make mass profits this next cycle. You don't want to miss it, guys, as these entry points may not be here tomorrow. And at the very least, you'll be prepared for what's to come. Guys, I can't stress to you how close I genuinely believe we all are to finally seeing some regulations in this damn space. Because today, Gary Gensler testified, and he got absolutely annihilated by Congress. I think the firing of Gary Gensler is about to take place. And at the very least, I think he's going to be stiff-armed into making sure that some Bitcoin ETFs get passed. Stiff-armed into at least getting some clarity into the market. Gary is fighting a losing battle. The American people have won. And it's only a matter of time. Take advantage of these entry points in the market now while you still can. And despite the fact that I do think another pullback is likely, now is a great time to begin dollar cost averaging if you haven't already. It's not about timing the exact bottom. It's about dollar cost averaging at or close to the bottoms. And I can't stress that enough. Now guys, I'm gonna play you content from today of Gary Gensler getting grilled by 3 different congressmen. And I think once you watch this, you'll understand what a great position we are all in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Third, your efforts to choke off the digital asset ecosystem, which has created real harm for consumers and our markets, is clear to all. You said the law is clear, but your actions have created more confusion and lasting damage. Chair Gensler, you've also said your goal is consumer protection. Yet your actions have pushed legitimate digital asset activities outside of regulated financial institutions where consumers are best protected. On one hand, we've seen bipartisan votes in Congress, in this committee, to provide clear rules of the road and real consumer protection. And on the other, we've seen your ad hoc regulation by enforcement approach to digital assets on a losing streak in the courts. You refuse to be transparent with Congress regarding your interactions with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. That's the investigation we started last Congress. Finally, your lack of responsiveness to this committee's legitimate oversight continues to be unacceptable. And I want to finish here. In February, the committee made multiple requests for documents to the Securities Exchange Commission. This is normal congressional oversight. Yet 7 months later, the committee has not received a single non-public document that was not part of a FOIA production. As I said, our patience is wearing thin. The SEC is not above the law, nor is it unique. Other financial regulators have routinely complied with congressional oversight. So let me be clear. I do not want to be the first chairman of this committee to issue a subpoena to the Securities Exchange Commission. And you should not want to be the first SEC chair to receive a congressional subpoena. Either we find a path forward where the SEC recognizes Congress as a co-equal branch of government and is responsive to our oversight duties, or my option is to issue a subpoena. It's time for you to consider the lasting consequences of your actions, and what that means to the Securities Exchange Commission's reputation long term. While your time in this role may be temporary, the repercussions for your actions may be permanent for the agency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chair Gensler, I have a series of questions that require a yes or no answer, and in the interest of my limited time, I'd appreciate it if you would comply with it. Mr. Gensler, is it fair to say generally that large institutions in any given industry benefit more from regulatory uncertainty than everyday market participants or smaller institutions who don't have the scale or the capital to fund expensive compliance teams?
Large institutions could benefit from uncertainty.
Reclaiming my time. The answer is yes, sir. Mr. Gensler, you had an 18-year career at Goldman Sachs where you were partner and co-head of finance, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And is it correct to say that you made most of your personal wealth directly through your employment at this bank, Goldman Sachs?
I've done well since then, too, sir.
I'll take that as a yes as well. You described the SEC under your leadership as the cop on the beat watching out for our constituents, correct?
I think that's a mandate that Congress
Yeah, and I
has
think
given
you've
us.
said that, reclaiming my time. The answer is yes, sir. If you could just comply with what I've asked, I'd appreciate it. But given your 18-year career at one of the biggest banks in the world and the personal financial fortune you amassed there, do you think it's possible for you to serve as an impartial regulator and not favor large financial intermediaries?
Absolutely, sir.
Well, Mr. Gensler, do you believe the vast majority of digital assets meet the investment contract test and are therefore securities operating illegally outside of the U.S. regulatory umbrella?
As I've said, many of these assets are basically the public is anticipating
Sir, is
profits
that a yes?
based on the efforts of others.
Is the answer then yes?
Again, without prejudging anyone, I do think that the significant
Reclaiming my
majority
time.
are
I'll take it as a
investment
yes.
contracts.
And to be clear, sir, this perspective has nothing to do with a concern you noted in a speech last year where you said, quote, "Over the past year, several bank executives have shared their concerns with me about the sheer number of depositors who have moved money from their bank accounts into crypto-related exchanges and wallets," end quote. Right?
The concern that those bank executives raised was that there's
Again, I'm reclaiming my time,
customers
sir.
were getting
No,
hurt.
I've asked you to answer the questions as short as I can so I can use the time I have, and it's clear that you would like to avoid answering the questions, in my opinion. An Obama-appointed judge in the Southern District of New York, a bank-friendly jurisdiction where you bring most of your cases, recently found that decentralized financial technology, quote, not only removes the so-called middlemen from these transactions, but it also allows users to interact through a variety of methods in an easy and efficient manner, end quote. The court also said underwriters, like the ones at banks where you work, sir, are, quote, precisely the types of individual roles that decentralized exchanges were designed to eliminate, end quote. Mr. Gensler, can you assure this committee that your style of regulation by harassment towards digital asset innovation is to the benefit of every American and not driven by your desires to protect industry incumbents?
This is a field that's rife with fraud and manipulation, and I'm looking out for the American investors who've been hurt by the crypto.
Yeah. I'll reclaim my
and
time. Mr.
scammers.
Gensler, despite your years of rhetoric, like today, I'm convinced you are not an impartial regulator. Instead, it's clear that you are working to consolidate your own power, even though it means crushing opportunities for everyday Americans and, frankly, the financial future of this country. Even the federal courts are highlighting the damage you, sir, are doing to our constituents, and they're telling you that you don't have the legal authority to accomplish your goal of squashing competition in the financial markets. Congress has been telling you that too. Now, Mr. Gensler, I believe our great financial system is the definition of freedom in this country. And congressional policies must provide room for the traditional financial system to evolve alongside the disruptive digital asset ecosystem. That said, it cannot be understated that a common theme throughout your career, sir, is your relentless loyalty to the largest financial institutions at the clear expense of innovation, competition, and everyday Americans. I yield back.
I suspect some large financial institutions would not agree with that.
There's no question, sir. I've yielded back my time.
You know, frankly, your time as chairman has highlighted two problems, a Gary Gensler problem and a structural flaw in the SEC. And as I told you in April, I've proposed a solution called the SEC Stabilization Act. You're making the case for this bill easier every day you are acting as the chairman. By doing rulemaking after rulemaking without any regard to the impact of these rules, or maybe that's the feature for you, I don't know. But it's having a massive impact on our markets. I mean, we have markets that truly are the envy of the world, and why would you disrupt them, with processes that are driving capital out of our markets? Not because to avoid our laws, but to find some place where they can get clarity, where they can work with a regulator and get a decision in a path forward. So instead of selectively applied, you are you're not providing clarity with a rule that's evenly applied. You're intentionally shortening comment periods to limit feedback. And the courts have even called this arbitrary and capricious. You're pushing a woke political and social agenda, and I think abusing your role and the authority of the SEC as cover. So, I think fundamentally, the SEC Stabilization Act would remove the role of chairman. It would preserve the current commissioners, but it would add a sixth commissioner. So there would be no more than 3 from any one political party. And so that would provide a path that would make the SEC do what you're avoiding. Frankly, you're front-running Congress, you're front-running the courts, you're front-running even the own administration, and no one has held you to account for that. I mean, I wish the Biden administration would say you're fired, but the list of folks they need to do that for is long. Congress hopefully will with the SEC Stabilization Act. I yield.